Our programme. Let down for years by police and social services, victims of the Telford abuse scandal say it's time for authorities to accept their failings and hold a public inquiry into how as many as 1,000 girls were abused in the town over a 40-year period. On this programme yesterday, we told you the scandal could be the worst the country has ever seen. Police there say tackling child sexual exploitation remains their, quote, #1 priority. So far, only 7 men have been convicted of any crimes, with others so far escaping justice. There are also reports that the abuse could be linked to 3 murders and 2 deaths in the town. As with other grooming scandals, we've seen the victims are mainly, though not exclusively, white, and the abusers mainly British, Pakistani or Bangladeshi men. Some of the girls, as young as 11, were drugged, beaten and raped over a number of years. We can talk now to Holly, a victim of child sexual exploitation in Telford. She's agreed for us to hear her tell her story, but she didn't want us to show her face. Geraldine McKelvey is here, one of the journalists behind the Sunday Mirror investigation, which exposed child sexual exploitation, the scale of it in Telford, and the town's Conservative MP, Lucy Allen, who is calling for a public inquiry. Welcome all of you. Thank you for coming on the programme. Holly, I'm obviously going to start with you, if I may. You were 14 when the exploitation of you began. How did it start?
So I was befriended by some boys my own age. They were harassing me constantly.
What does that mean?
Constantly calling my phone for meet us, and they'd be always hanging around where we would be, me and my friend. It's difficult to explain. Basically, they took our phone numbers and then sold them on to older men. And from there, the older men would bombard us constantly with phone calls, and it would be relentless. It would be non-stop.
Saying what? Suggesting what to you in the phone calls?
Just saying, oh, I know you, I've seen you around, come and meet up with us, we'll just go sort of chilling. At first I was like, no, I don't want to. But then after receiving hundreds and hundreds of calls every day, curiosity got the better of me. I went and met one, and at first it was fine. He'd just go and buy us food, talk about mobile phones, things like that. So sort of built a little bit of trust, and then he started violently raping me. He'd beat me with his belt and things if I didn't agree to let him rape me. And then he'd try and make me feel better, or make himself feel better, I guess, by trying to give me money or top up my phone and things again. From that man, it moved on to many men. There's about 7 abusers in the end.
So you were passed around, or they would all turn up en masse, or what?
No, it would be almost whoever caught me first, whoever saw me walking home from school first, or walking to my friend's house. Telford's a very small area, so there's nowhere to hide. Like, if somebody knows where you live and your daily routine, they're going to find you. But it quickly moved on to being sold onto men every single day. So I'd be being sold maybe 2 or 3 times a night, taken into the only thing I can describe as a rape house, which was set up for the purpose of young girls being sold to men. And the people that would pay for the girls in Telford, it wasn't just Pakistani men or Bengali men like you've seen across the rest of the country. There was men of every race, religion coming in there and wanting to pay for girls.
How did you cope with this?
Everybody always asks me that. I can't really explain. Almost like I was living in a bubble, and I just was numb. I had no feelings about anything. All I wanted to do was make my family proud of me. So I continued going to school, did my best, everything I could do, just to try and make something good of it for my family, because the reason why I kept going back was they were threatening me with burning my house down, which was a real threat in Telford because that had actually happened previously. And they would say to me they would rape my mum and rape my sisters. And they knew all about my family. There was just no escape at all.
Where did your parents think you were at night then? Because you were only 14.
Yeah. I used to go back home. My mum would give me a curfew, go in the house. The phone would be constantly going off. And she would ask me, who's ringing? And I would just be like, oh, it's nobody. Like, mind your own business. Wait for her to go to bed because she would think I was home, I was safe, everything was fine. She'd fall asleep and I'd go straight back out again.
Would you?
Be out to all hours in the morning. Then literally come back, go lie in bed, and sometimes my alarm would go off almost as soon as I got into bed, ready to get up for school.
Goodness.
So just running off pure adrenaline, I think, all the time.
And the idea of you ever considering contacting the police was a no-no because of the threats you were receiving?
Yeah, one man actually did turn up at my house and wrote a letter to my mum telling her that I was a prostitute. And
one man? You mean an abuser or somebody in authority?
Okay. No, an abuser, telling her that I was a prostitute and that I owed him money. And the reason being was I hadn't done what he had told me to do.
And how did your mum react to that?
She was angry.
Who at?
Everybody, I think, because you don't expect something like that to come through your letterbox about your child. And the behaviour I was displaying was almost general teenage behaviour. I think it's quite difficult to know the difference between just being, having a teenage daughter and actual crying for help. The one thing that I did do, I was gang raped just after I turned 16, and that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me. Sorry.
You don't need to apologise. No way.
And after that, I tried to commit suicide, and people would say to me, "Was that a cry for help?" And I was saying, "No, I genuinely wanted to die because I thought that was the only way, the way out." And obviously I'm here today, and I'm not suffering abuse anymore. So there is a way out, and I think it's different for every single person that's involved. However, I was in cars that were stopped and searched by the police with older men, and it's never questioned why I was in there or who I was. My name was never asked, and I just think if they'd been more proactive at points like that, things could have changed earlier. I was also going to the doctor in the youth sexual health clinic a couple of times a week for at least about 3 years, getting the morning after pill.
Wow. How many times do you think you took the morning after pill in 3 years?
I couldn't even estimate how many times.
What, dozens? Hundreds? You were going twice a week for it?
Twice a week.
Over 3 years?
Yeah.
And no one there raised the alarm?
Nope. Nothing.
But did they ask you why you kept coming back?
No. Nobody asked any questions, and I had 2 abortions, and also again no questions were asked as to what was going on in my life. And I feel like if somebody had shown that interest, asked me just a few questions, it may have made me speak out and at least just say there's something not quite right going on and I'm not comfortable. No, nothing was ever said.
Gosh. Let me bring in Geraldine, if I may. Geraldine McKelvey. Thank you, Holly. Thank you very much. I know that was hard for you, but I think just to let the audience know that the kind of, the horrific experience that you have gone through without anybody, any grown-up stepping in, is just really, really distressing. Geraldine, you work for the Sunday Mirror. You decided to investigate child sexual exploitation in Telford, but what piqued your curiosity?
I had worked on a few stories about what had happened in Rotherham, and through that I got in touch with Holly, and I asked her if she would be interested in telling her story, her personal story. At first I thought it was only going to be Holly's personal story rather than the wider story of what had been going on in Telford, but once I spoke to Holly and realised what she was saying about, especially about the sexual health clinic in the morning,